What up, leaders? Welcome back to my channel. We are back in Peters Hall. I'm here on the pedestrian overpass here at Peters Hall. I've used this pedestrian overpass to show you the bridge because it gives me a vantage point from which to see most of the bridge. But this morning it's foggy. And the reason why I'm back here on the 25th of July is because they're going to close the bridge for the next 2 days from this evening. From tomorrow evening, from tomorrow afternoon, the 26th, from the 26th to the 28th, they're going to close this road to pedestrians and to vehicles because I suppose they're going to do some major finishing work to the bridge. And I thought I'd come here before they closed this area to show you the bridge. Now it's important to see that what's happening behind me is that the bridge is lost in a fog of clouds. And that presents challenges that we haven't seen before. So I'm glad I came here today so that I can show you another perspective on the bridge. But let's get closer and take a look at what is happening to the bridge as it reaches its final stage of construction. So let's go. What is up, Raffalitos? Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday morning in Georgetown. Actually, we're at Peters Hall. So we're back at the Demerara River Bridge, the new Demerara River Bridge, and it's for the first time I'm here at almost 7 o'clock, 10 minutes to 7 a.m. and you can't see the bridge because there is fog. So in that direction where we're looking, that's where the pillars, we should be able to see the bridge. Here you can barely see it beyond this pedestrian overpass at Peters Hall. And just under the pedestrian overpass, there you can see the bridge. But there is fairly dense fog this morning at 7 a.m., between 6 and 7 a.m. And it actually allows us to see another possibility, another challenge that this bridge will face once it begins to operate. This is the junction at Peters Hall, where the old Demerara Harbor Bridge empties onto the public road here. You see that is the Demerara Harbor Bridge. Friday morning on the 25th of July 2025. That's looking back along the public road towards Georgetown. And this is 6:50, 10 minutes to 7 morning traffic on a Friday morning here on the East Bank Public Road. Now we've actually looked at traffic on the Heroes Highway, rush hour traffic on the Heroes Highway, and I pointed out then that the rush hour traffic on Heroes Highway does not mean that the traffic here on the public road is reduced. Let me show you what it looks like from the pedestrian overpass. So you can see the bridge, you can barely see the bridge in the distance, but I'm going to show you as I climb the pedestrian overpass what it looks like from the overpass, because usually you can see most of the bridge from this pedestrian overpass. But now what you can see is fog, mist, and that's a challenge. So let me show you. That's what the bridge looks like here on a Friday morning from the pedestrian overpass here at Peters Hall. And you can see the bridge disappears in the fog. You can't even see the pillars, which are the largest structures. And the reason why that's a problem is because traffic on the bridge will have to face this challenge because the bridge goes up higher, right high above the rooftop, and traffic will be driving through the clouds, as it were. So traffic dealing with or having to cross the Demerara River Bridge on a morning in summer will face visibility issues, and we haven't seen this in previous videos because we were lucky to come out here on days when the fog is minimal or reduced, and days when it's raining and that removes the fog. But think about that. Given the propensity for speeding and reckless driving in Guyana and dealing with a fog, what happens if there's an accident on the bridge, a chain accident on the bridge, where you have 60 vehicles pile up? Because that is what happens in a fog, right? You get pile up. You get vehicle pile up because visibility is so low that you can't see that the car in front of you has stopped until you already slammed into its rear. And this is now a possibility in Guyana. We've never seen vehicle pileups in Guyana because we don't have snow, we don't have fog usually, or it clears by the time the sun comes up. As you can see here, this fog is going to present a challenge for which the planners have not prepared. Now that's looking north towards Georgetown. Again, the mist, the cloudiness you can see is a fog. It's not a dense fog, it's a moderate fog, and it seems to be settling onto the bank, the east bank. Now the reason why fog happens is condensation in the air. The dew point, the humidity is so high that the humidity is so high that the air condenses into a mist, and that mist reflects light, right? That water droplets reflect sunlight or any kind of light, and that basically scatters the light, making it look like impenetrable fog. But let's get closer and see what happens. So guys, we're gonna go down and take a closer look at the bridge. Somebody's asking if there are elevators. There is actually a lift for this pedestrian overpass, both ends. But of course, as usual in everything in Guyana, with everything, it doesn't work. Who knows why? Anyway, let's get closer to the bridge so that I can show you what's happening here. What is interesting is that the fog is not really lifting. It's actually becoming denser as you approach 7. It's about 7 a.m. in the morning now. And like I said, the problem with having fog, dealing with fog, especially on a bridge like this, that is about 3 miles, at least 3 miles in length. Right, the bridge is about 3 miles in length, but it doesn't have exits except at either end. And what that means is that if you get into a chain reaction accident, right, you get into a pile up in a fog on the bridge, it would be almost impossible to get off the bridge. The worst case scenario, there's a fire, right? If you notice that you can't really see the bridge, it's 7 a.m. it's light, but unless you're very close, you can't really see what's going on. So this presents a challenge because it means you have to plan. Somebody's giving me some warning about what's happening. But look at the pile up there. Right, that's the traffic here on a Friday morning. That traffic, the traffic that's at the standstill, is heading towards Georgetown. And it's a Friday morning, so Friday morning at 7 a.m. But yes, guys, let's follow that chain of thought. Oh, these fruit guys are out here again. Morning. Morning. What's up, man? What's up, man, fruit guy? Say hi for the people.
Morning.
So, the issue we're raising this morning is the fact that you don't have any exits for 3 miles. Once you get onto the bridge, once you join that roundabout, that traffic circle, at either end, there is no way to turn around. You have to go 3 miles. But here, barely in the fog, you can see the connection has not yet been established. So you can see the gap between the end of the ramp and the high span section has not yet been closed. My guess is the reason why they're closing this road this weekend is so that they can seal these gaps between the various points on the bridge. Morning. They can seal these gaps between the various sections of the bridge. But yes, guys, follow this train of thought I'm advancing. Because the bridge is continuous for 3 miles and there is no exit until you get to the roundabouts at either end. The challenge is if there is an emergency, let's say there's a pileup in the fog, and this is what happens with fog. Because of reckless driving, people driving beyond their ability to see the distance, see ahead, they can't see that a vehicle may be stopped in their path until it's too late, and then they slam into the rear. You get a rear end collision, and then you get a chain reaction because the drivers behind them also can't see through the fog, and you get a pile up 50, 60, 70 cars. It's quite common in places like Canada and the US, and that has never happened in Guyana. There was never an incident or accident where there was a multiple vehicle collision involving 50 or 60 or 70 cars or vehicles, trucks. That becomes a possibility now because of combination of circumstances, fog and the improper design of this bridge, so that there's no way for you to get on except at the 2 designated endpoints. And we should not be waiting until some major tragedy happens before we address this. But yes, guys, they're going to close the road this weekend, which is why I'm here today. It's about 2 weeks since the last time we were here, and I guessed that it would take 2 weeks to close this gap. The gap has not yet been closed. It seems as if a gap still exists between the high span section and the ramp section of the bridge. The last time we were looking at the eastern end towards Heroes Highway, we saw that there's still a lot of work to be done to complete the access road. Right, the access road is still far from complete. That's looking east towards Heroes Highway. As you can see, one of the longest ramps of any bridge in the Caribbean, probably even in South America. And this view has become quite popular. Shows you the curve of the bridge, but for the first time you can see this morning, the top of the bridge is lost in fog. We have not seen the pillars yet. As we go under the bridge, we're going to go under, come up on the Providence side. That's Providence. This is looking east under the bridge towards the Heroes Highway side. Still a lot of fog in the air at 7 a.m. That's Ramada Hotel. Morning. Here in Providence, people are commenting about landscaping. I guess people here don't really dig landscaping. But here's looking at the bridge from the Providence side. See, the bridge curves away. Has a convex curve on this side, concave on the other side. But again, you can't see the top of the bridge. Usually you can see those pillars. The pillars supporting the high span section, the cables, are all invisible in the deep fog. And like I said, that fog, if it becomes a regular thing, is a hazard for which Guyanese drivers are not prepared to deal. And if that fog limits visibility to the point that it causes accidents, then there's no way to deal with it, no way to deal with accidents, because the design of the bridge does not cater for that kind of emergency so far. And you would think that somebody in the process of designing the bridge would raise the possibility of emergencies and how they are to be dealt with. But so far, I don't see anything in the design that says they're going to be prepared to deal with that kind of emergency. That's the Ramada Hotel and Princess Casino here in Providence. And as you can see, this is the traffic heading into Georgetown, piling up. It's almost a mile long. Now we can actually see a little bit of the bridge, a little bit of the high span section. So there is the high span section, lost in the dense fog. The thing to understand is that this fog happens for a reason, specific reason. It has to do with the humidity and the temperature difference between the river and the land, because the river is going to be colder than the land, cooler than the land, and so the area near the water, near the river, will be cooler and cause the droplets of water, moisture, to condense in the air, and that condensation is what appears to be fog. Now this has happened in previous summers. I think I've seen this last summer. Last summer there were lots of forest fires, well, fires in general, that caused dense cloudiness in the air in the daytime, and would reduce visibility even in the city in Georgetown. However, it's the first time we're seeing this in the context of traffic on a bridge. And the thing is that this is not a one-time event. It will happen again. It probably will happen every summer because of the situation, the location of Georgetown at the mouth of the Demerara River, surrounded by water, ocean being colder than the land, and that temperature difference causing condensation. But this is an interesting new view that we haven't seen before, and that is that fog could present a challenge. As you can see, I'm actually looking in the direction of the high span section. We're supposed to be seeing the pillars, but there are no pillars to be seen, and that's because of the denseness of the fog here at 7, it's almost 7:05, 7:10 a.m. in the morning. But that's what's happening, guys. That's what's happening in this neck of the woods. Like I said, they're going to close this area to traffic and pedestrians over the next weekend, and I thought I'd come out here a bit sooner so that I can show you the the progress on the bridge since it's been almost 2 weeks since the last time we were here. And my regular routine is to come take a look every 2 weeks to give you an update. My expectation is that they are going to use the time this weekend to close these gaps. Right, my guess is that they are going to be closing these gaps between the high span section and the ramp on both sides, and between the two high span sections during this weekend. And my guess is that when we come back on Monday morning, I think they're going to open again on Monday morning, we'll be able to see a continuous bridge. They probably will be able to test it, maybe drive across it over the weekend once they completed that work, and we'll hear about it in the media, and I will definitely bring you an update on Monday or Tuesday next week. But that's what's up, guys. This is what's happening in this neck of the woods. Here we're at Red Road now in Providence. We're at Red Road in Providence, looking at traffic on the East Bank Public Road on a Friday morning in Guyana, and looking at the bridge and the traffic under the bridge. But that's where we are. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing country in the world, Guyana. Later! What up, athletes? Welcome back to my channel. It's a Friday morning in Guyana. We're at Providence, and I thought I'd show you all the developments in Providence. This fence is almost completed. This is the fence around property that's continuous with the Amazonia Mall. There you can see the bridge. Fog is beginning to lift now. It's about 7:15 on a Friday morning. And the fog was so dense that we couldn't see the high span section of the bridge, as you can see in the earlier video. But now it's coming out from behind, right? It's coming out from behind the fog. You can see the gap still exists. Barely see the pillars behind the fog, but the fog is beginning to lift. And by next Monday, we'll be able to see that gap closed, because they're closing the road here, the East Bank Public Road, so they can complete work on the bridge over the weekend. But I thought I'd show you what's happening here at Providence. As I said, they're building up this new, they're fencing this old property that once held all the building materials for the roads and stuff. This property is contiguous with Amazonia Mall, and the question is, who owns it? I don't know if it's owned by Amazonia Mall, but if it is, it might be room for expansion. It might be room for expansion. So this is what the property looks like. I don't know if they're going to use it to expand the Amazonia Mall, or what it will become once they fenced it and cleared it. But the fence looks as if it's continuous with Amazonia Mall, and therefore I'm assuming it's part of Amazonia Mall. In other words, the fence being constructed here is continuous or contiguous with the Amazonia Mall property, and I'm assuming that if it was a different property, the Amazonia Mall section would be different. In other words, the fence itself would change its design at the property boundary. But this is the Amazonia Mall here. It's a small mall. We've addressed it, we've looked at it in past videos. Right, it now has a Starbucks. I've actually shown you inside that Starbucks. You can go take a look at the previous video and I've actually walked around the mall. It opens about 10 a.m. in the morning. It's now 7:15 in the morning, so the mall is not open. But the store, the Starbucks store is open. This is the old Cacique Crown Hotel. Somebody asked if they're going to be doing any renovation or completion of the work here. I have no idea. Sheriff security now guards the property. You want to see inside? I did a previous video before Sheriff security took over that shows you the inside. So this is Amazonia Mall, and in the distance, those buildings in the background, that's the stadium, National Stadium, cricket stadium here at Providence. And further up the road in the direction in which we're headed is the Hyatt Hotel. Right, the Hyatt Hotel. Let me cross over to the other side so I can show you the Hyatt Hotel as I approach it. So the one we're passing now, this hotel.
Distance 4 miles. Duration 1 hour 23 minutes. Pace 35 minutes 10 seconds per mile.
Right, so this hotel, this Cacique's Crown Hotel, was under construction in the early 2000s. I think they were trying to construct new hotels. The government had encouraged builders to build new hotels for the cricket season sometime in the early 2000s. This hotel ran into financial problems and could not be completed. But the other hotel in the distance, that one is the Princess Hotel. That one also ran into financial problems, but they had connections with the PPP government at that time, and they were able to get backing, financing from the government to complete their hotel. This one, on the other hand, was not so lucky and was not completed. So the question is, somebody was asking, is what will happen to that hotel? I don't know. So this new hotel, this one is the Hyatt Hotel, Hyatt Place. Hyatt Place is a 3-star branded hotel. It's one of 11 new hotels in the country. I've always counted them out for you in the past, so you should know them by now. But this is the latest one. Incidentally, I did actually do a video on the new Jewels Hotel, Jewels by Kings. The last time I did a video on them, they said I could come back in 2 weeks to see the inside. So earlier this week, I went back to see the inside, and I was told that they would call me, but they haven't called me, and I won't return. So if you want to see the inside of that hotel, it seems as if they're guarded. It's a guarded secret, and I will not be chasing them down to cover it. But this is what is happening here, guys. This is what is happening at Hyatt Place. Now, Hyatt Place, like I said, is a 3-star hotel. It's one of 11, and I think in Guyana there's room for many, many more. There are people arguing that there are too many hotels in Guyana. Those people are not here, haven't been back to Guyana in decades, and can't see the rapid economic growth and the high demand for places to stay everywhere, not just here on the coast, but in other cities, other towns in Guyana and in the interior. So my guess is that there's room for at least 36 to 48 branded hotels like Hyatt and Marriott and Hilton and so on. So I think if you were thinking of building a hotel, there's still lots of demand for new high quality hotels in the country. But this Hyatt hotel is going to be, I think, adding one more, number 11. And it seems as if they are making progress. As you can see from this angle, they're working on the facade, the exterior tiles on the hotel. That gray section, I think you can see there are some workmen on the scaffolding there. That gray section is new, and I'm assuming it's one of the final colors of the hotel. You can see in the distance somebody doing some welding on the exterior. A flashing light. Remember, it's 7:20 in the morning, so these guys are working early. So they're working on the exterior. Scaffolding is up, and they're adding the final colors, what I believe are the final colors to the hotel. I don't know if they're going to be painting over them. As you can see in the poster, the final colors seem to be some kind of off-white and brown, but I don't know if those are real colors or just as a result of the weather. You know, for example, I don't know if the UV light, sunlight has caused these colors to change, but that's what the hotel is going to look like when it's completed, and it's actually more or less close to that right now. This is also an industrial site, so there are a number of industrial buildings in the neighborhood. New ones going up every day, and right next door to the Hyatt hotel there is the Texilla American University. There's a Texilla American University. So, interesting neighborhood to be in. Let's see if we can take a closer look at what's happening. As you can see, the outside of the building is now, that is Hyatt building, is being covered with these charcoal gray or almost black tiles, and the floor is also being covered, or that's the ground floor, being covered with some colored tiles. So I don't know if that is the final color. That is also a final color, but we're gonna wait to see when they've completed it. You can see the guard place at the front of the building, at the entrance, still to be completed, and the main entrance, the lobby area, that also to be completed. So my guess is that they're probably going to take the rest of the year to complete this, at the pace they're going. All right, this is July 22nd, the 25th day of July 2025, and the hotel seems to be making slow progress, but certainly getting closer to completion every day. Hyatt Place is a 3-star brand, as I said, and a lot of the new hotels are either 3-star or 4-star hotels based on the amenities and the comparison with similar brands around the world. Some of you are arguing with me, should just Google, and you'll see what I'm saying is actually true, because the information available online backs up what I'm saying about these hotels. But yes, guys, this is what is happening here at Providence. So we take one last look at the Hyatt Place here on Red Road in Providence. It has made progress since the last time we were here, less than 2 weeks ago, but there still seems to be a lot of work to be done. I will bring you updates on this hotel every other week as it completes, and hopefully we'll be able to see on the inside much more easily than it has been to show you the inside of some of the ones that are being completed now. That's the eastern direction on Red Road. Right, that's looking east on Red Road. That's the Texila American University and the Hyatt Hotel. So that's the context of the hotel. It's within walking distance of Amazonia Mall and the stadium, the Providence Cricket Stadium. So it's a good location for a hotel. There's going to be a lot of sporting activities, concerts and so on. And the presence of this hotel in this neighborhood will make it a high demand location for events in this neighborhood, in this neck of the woods. But that's what's up, guys. That's what's happening in this neck of the woods. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing economy in the world, Guyana. Later!